Okay, so all right. So hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Palacios, and I will be showing you statistics. If you can see on the screen, right, the class that we're going to be doing is statistics. The actual definition is shown here, right? You don't have to write it down. Just know that this is the actual definition of it. It's a branch of mathematics dealing with collection, analysis, interpretation, and presentation of masses of numerical data and a collection of quantitative data. Now, that's a lot of words to say that statistics is the study of how and why we use numbers in real life. So I know in a lot of math classes like algebra, geometry, it seems like some of the stuff that you're shown isn't stuff that you'd use in everyday life. But statistics is used all around you, and it's mostly used to make claims. So under the why section, right? Statistics allows us to determine what is real and what is not real. Um, I wanted to put truth there, but honestly, it doesn't matter. When we have people making claims, whenever scientists or anyone who does studies makes claims, like for example, a new study found that that if you drink 8 cups of water a day, then you'll be healthier or something like that. That's a pretty powerful claim, and it's very dangerous because depending on what people say, it can have real consequences for people's lives. So, what am I talking about? Well, in order for us to believe anyone, whenever they make claims like that, they need evidence. Specifically, statistics is allowing your claims to be backed up by numbers. All right, so anyone can say anything, but if they don't have the numbers to back it up, it's it's probably not true. And you'll find that throughout all this that you'll see me attach articles and things like that, and I'll have you figure out which studies are real and which ones are not. All right, so look forward to that. But just know that statistics helps us figure out what's real and what's not real. Okay, I originally had a different lesson for this in mind. I'm just going to give you a preview of this. But the word bias is very important in statistics. It refers to the tendency of a sample statistic to be systematically over or underestimating a population. It just means that when I say I'm biased towards somebody, it means that I have a preference for one thing over another. So, for example, in a classroom with 5 boys and 15 girls, I only ask for the boys' opinion. This means that I am biased towards boys and against girls, right? So this is just an example, right? If there's only five, if I'm only taking into account the opinions of 5 boys in the class, and 15 of them are girls, right? That means I have a serious bias against girls, right? And that's bad. One thing I want to clarify about bias is that there's a lot of real examples of this, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen or experienced this at some point in your life when someone is just so sure of something, and it is not true. Um, Bias makes us prefer one thing over another, and it doesn't mean that we're always right. But as humans, we have a tendency towards bias. We can never get rid of bias 100%, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try, right? We should always strive to try to figure out what our biases are and to try to figure out a way around them, or to basically account for them. So, for example, in this case, right, if, say, me, for example, I'm biased against girls, right? If I knew this and I wanted to uh, make it more equitable, what should I do? Well, in this example, it's obvious. I need to ask for the girl's opinion, right? Given that there's more girls in the class, I need to take their opinion and perhaps also weigh it possibly a little bit more than the boys because there's so many more girls in this class. Now, at what point do I draw the line? We're going to talk about that some other day. For now, I want to move on into what you're actually going to do. I uploaded 8.1 into the Google Classroom, and that's what you're going to be focused on right now. For now, two-way frequency tables. So these are notes. Make sure to write this down. Categorical categories and quantitative categories. Categorical means anything that cannot be expressed using numbers. Yes, that word is using. Over here, quantitative categories is anything that can be represented by numbers, numerical measures. So what does that mean? Well, examples of this, colors are categorical, right? Because blue cannot be represented by any number. I mean, I guess we could assign a number to it, but generally speaking, when I say blue, you don't usually think of a number, right? So any kind of color would be considered a category, right? Versus a quantitative, right, would be something like your height and weight. If I asked you for your weight, right, and you weighed something like 160 pounds, 160 is a number, right? 160 pounds. Say you were 5'9" in height, 5 feet 9 inches. Those are numbers, right? These can be represented as such. Like I said, colors, not so much. Words that are non-descriptives, words that are like, whenever I say something like big, small, yeah, I guess I could be referring to a number, but in reality, if I mean, big could mean something. It can mean a bunch of different things at different contexts, right? So that would be more categorical. It wouldn't be quantitative because, um, for example, in terms of weight, right? Big could be referring to anything more than 200 pounds. I don't know, something like that. I honestly don't know. Um, or if we're comparing, that's if we're comparing people, right? But if we're comparing something like ants, big could be like 0.1 pounds. It could be a very, very big ant, right? So it's not always the same number. So therefore, it's categorical. You need to know the difference between these two because it's going to come up a lot. Okay, we're going to move on to the frequency tables, right? A table that keeps track of how often each item occurs in the data and set. So here I have a makeshift table, right? I have 9th, 10th, 11th grades, and I have totals, right? So in this case, this one is just uh, it's just a regular frequency table. There's only one variable on it. I I went into a school and I asked, okay, how many ninth graders do you have? Well, I have 15 ninth graders. How many 10th graders do you have? Well, they counted. I have 20. How many 11th graders do you have? I have 25 11th graders. Okay, what's the total number of 9th through 11th graders? Well, if we add them all up, it's 60, right? So I added up all these and I got my total. Now, I can't do this up and down because there's really nothing there. Like you're going to see that in the next slide that two-way frequency tables have two variables. In this case, I have grades, right? Like the 9, 10, 11 grades. And then I don't have anything else. But you're going to see in the next one that changes. So here we have a two-way frequency table. It looks a little bit more fleshed out. I do have 9, 10th, and 11 again, right? But this time I have B and G, right? What that means is boys and girls and totals. And I have totals. Now this time I was a little bit more specific. I said, okay, well, it turns out that the numbers I got before were wrong, right? They weren't the total number of ninth graders, 10th graders, and 11th graders. They were the number of ninth grade boys, 10th grade boys, and 11th grade boys. You notice these numbers are very similar, right? They were the numbers from the previous one. And my total would be, well, there is a total of 60 boys in my school, all grades combined, right? Because we're going this way, right? We added up all of these and we got a total of 60. However, well, I have different number of girls. I have 20 ninth grade girls, I have 25 10th grade girls, and 15 11th grade girls. Again, I added all these up and I went to the left and then gave me my total of 60. But since I have what we call two variables, um, our grades, right, is my first variable, and it's these, right? However, these go up and down. These are gender, and that's my second variable, okay? Now, gender is boy and girl here, right? So I can also read this table up and down, right, as my columns. So for example, ninth grade, boys and girls together. How many ninth graders do I have total? Well, that's different from the total number of boys in the school. If I go up and down like this, 15 plus 20, I end up with 35 ninth graders. Notice that it's different from just ninth. It's just ninth graders total that includes both boys and girls. Right now here, if I read this down, 20 and 25, that's how many 10th graders I have total. So I have 45, whoops, 10th graders. And if I read this up and down, 25 and 15 are my 11th graders. So I have 40 11th graders. Okay, so what about the total columns down here? I have 60 and 60. If I add these up, I notice I have this circled here. This is what we call my grand total. This is going to be very important later. Not so much for this lesson, but in the next lesson, you're going to see that this is going to be very important. So don't forget where this is at. This number is very special. It's my grand total of everything, right? These right here that I'm putting a little square around, these are what we would call our row and column totals. Row slash column totals, right? They are going to be important, but again, that's going to be for the next lesson. I just want you to know where they are right now so that you can make sure you get all this in your notes. Pause the video if you need to, but we're going to move on. Okay, so this is going to be the explain number 2 on page 349, part B. Where you'll find this, if you pause this video and you go to the Google Classroom, there should be how can I put it? There should be an 8.1 lesson under the same category that this video was found in. And it's just the PDF, but it's just the lesson part. Right? I want you to go to page 349 on it, open it up, 349, find part B, and you're going to see this chart, more or less like this. And the chart is basically asking you, okay, I'm giving you a two-way frequency table, and I want you to figure out the missing numbers, right? We've noticed how we have some blank spots right here, right? There's some blank spots, and it's your job to figure out what it is. This is the most of what you're going to be doing, right? As remember, we're just starting out with the lesson. So, for example, here we have a bunch of categories. We have gender going down, right? We have boys and girls, and we have the beverages, right, going left and right this way, right? We have juice, milk, water, right? So why don't we start off with what we can. We're going to start off with the columns. Now, if you notice here, I'm going to start off with juice, right? We have numbers for both of them, right? We know that we're going to add them to get our totals. So juice is 10. 10 girls prefer juice. 15 boys prefer juice as their favorite thing to drink. So if I add them together, I can get my total down here. So this should be 25. And that's how he filled in that number. You're just gonna add it. This is like a puzzle that you're gonna have to figure out. But you're gonna have to go in a specific order, right? Only the ones that are done first. So for example, these, they have both numbers, do those first. The next one that has both numbers filled out is for water. If you notice girls, there's 17 girls that prefer water and there's 21 boys that prefer water. So we're gonna head down here, we're gonna add 17 plus 21, 8, 38, right? That gives us approximately 17, 21, 38, right? So, okay, so now we have this. What do we do, right? What else can we do? Well, we can try to figure out what the milk is. We can try to figure out, we need more information, okay? So this is where, let's see. Where's it at? Okay, so you can't really see it on yours, but under the actual, assignment, it says part B. Part of the information says 100 students were surveyed. about which beverage they chose. Some of the results are shown below. Now, as part of the given, they said that 100 students were surveyed. That's the grand total. Remember, we had our grand total. As part of the problem, they told us, but they didn't put it into the chart. They were very sneaky about that. They just said, hey, we interviewed a total of 100 people, which means that our grand total is actually 100. And we got that from straight from the problem. We didn't get that from anywhere else. Well, now that I know that this is 100, I can actually solve this, right? However, let me just get, whoops. Let's undo that. Okay. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this. Okay, so now if we notice here, we have 100. So in order to get this, what plus 60 is going to give us 100? Well, if we take 100 and we subtract 60, we do the opposite. We end up getting 40, right? 40 plus 60 gives us 100. So now we have this. So if you notice, we can actually go to the left now. We know that 10 plus 17 plus this other number right here is going to equal to 40. So what am I going to do? I'm going to add 17 and 10 to give me 27. And I know my total is 40. Whoops. So I'm just going to go ahead and subtract that, borrow that. 10 minus 7 is just 3, 13. That means that 13 boys or girls, sorry, prefer milk as their favorite beverage. So I want you to know how we figured that out, right? And I do want to see all your work when you're doing this. Obviously, you use the calculator, that's fine. There will be more work to be shown in other problems later. So here, the last one, we almost figured this out. The last thing we need is, we know that this is going to be a total now. Now we can solve it. 13 plus 24 is going to be 7. And this is going to be 37. Okay, so now the last thing that we need is to make sure that all of our totals added up. If we did this right, we should be able to add up 40 plus 60, right? To get 100. We know that that's true. We should also be able to add up on our side, right? Add this, add that. So 25 plus 37 plus 38. 38 plus 7 is going to be 15. 3 and 3 is going to be 60. Plus 15 is going to be 75. 75 plus 25, right? These two together give me 75. Plus 25 give me 100. Yep, checks out. Okay, I've completed my two-way frequency table. And you're going to be doing a lot of this. Make sure you read all those things. What I want you guys to do is make sure you guys do all these things on a separate piece of paper, right? Take a picture of it and then upload it onto it so I can grade it and I can see it. I know this is going to take some getting used to, but it is what it is. So good luck. And if you guys are still having trouble, right, be sure to ask me questions during our office hours. I know for a fact that I'm available from 10 to 11. I believe that's the office hours every day from Monday to Thursday that you would be able to conference call with me. I will also set up some other times for conferencing throughout the day for specifically for stats class and for the algebra class that I'm teaching. So you can tune into those based on your schedule. Um, let's just try to get through this, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording for now, and good luck.